So I just bought 4 cheap retro gaming consoles online. 2 of them are absolute trash, but 2 of them actually surprised me. Well, welcome back to the Underground Arcade. My name is Bronson and I'm in the process of building my own arcade. And this channel is all about retro gaming and arcade machines and all that good stuff. So over the past couple of months I've bought a handful of different gaming consoles of both AliExpress and Temu. And the problem is they always look good online, but when they actually show up, sometimes they're not so great. So what I thought we'll do today is we'll compare them all, we'll look at the performance, the games, the overall build quality, and we'll figure out if they're actually worth your money. So let's start with the ones you should avoid. Now on the listing, these look pretty good. They're cheap, they're about $25. They say they have 500 games. They look pretty cool, pretty retro. This almost looks like an old Nintendo Switch, you know, like with the coloring and, you know, some sort of old Game Boy there. So they look pretty cool. But once you sort of get them in your hands, you realize they're actually pretty cheap. So the first thing that lets these little consoles down, the cheaper ones, is the screen. It's pretty small, the resolution sucks, and it's not very bright. One thing my children also complain about is that if you are trying to watch over someone's shoulder as they game, you can't really see the screen. It's one of those ones that as soon as you angle it, you can't really see it. So yeah, the screens let them down a bit. Now they do have a lot of games. This one in particular, 401. I think the other one is 251 or maybe 501. Heaps of games. The problem is you get one giant list of the games, and if the game you like is game 124 on the list, you literally have to scroll down to that game. There's no way to favorite games, there's no way to search for the games, you're literally scrolling through. So what you end up kind of doing a lot of the time is just playing the games and sort of as far as you can be bothered scrolling, right? So the A's basically, but if you wanted to say play Metal Slug in the M's, you'd be scrolling a long time to get to M. The other thing that bugs me, and it actually happens on both these cheap consoles, I think they run the same software, is that every time you turn it on or you exit a game, you go back to the main game list, it plays the same frustrating song. And it plays it loud. Now there are 2 things I think are pretty good with these devices. That simplified menu that we talked about earlier can be good for younger children because there are no menus you can get lost in. There's no settings. You could easily fire this into the back of the car to a young child and say play this on a road trip. All they're going to do is switch it on, choose if they want Chinese or English, and then pick the game, and then they can just reset the device if they get stuck. So that simplified menu is good, I guess, for really young children, just frustrating for slightly older children. The other cool thing that they have is a TV out jack on the top, and it came with a long cord. Both of these consoles did. It's probably 1.5 meters, 2 meters long, and it is RCA on one end to a 3.5mm jack on the other end, like a headphone jack. So you can plug these into a TV and you can actually play the games on the TV, provided I guess you've got a TV that still has RCA plugs in it. But I've got a couple of old CRT TVs here in the shed and they do look pretty cool. Bit of Donkey Kong looks quite good on those screens, so probably a one saving grace for these little consoles. These next 2 consoles cost more, but the gaming experience is on a whole different level. This is the R36S and this is the SF3000, which sounds pretty cool. Both of these I think you can get on Temu or AliExpress, and there are different variants, different colors. You can see I got sent a purple one here. I think I actually ordered a black one, but I got sent a purple, kind of see-through case. Basically the same software, the similar games, but one has got a widescreen, you know, sort of Nintendo Switch feel, and the other's more like a Game Boy Advance. So the first thing you notice with these more expensive ones is the screen is so much better. Better color, better brightness, better resolution. It's more like a phone screen. The overall build of these is really nice. So I was quite surprised with this because I think in New Zealand, with our exchange rate, these are about $50. So they are twice the price of those cheaper ones. But they look and feel a lot better. Like the buttons are a lot sturdier. Headphone jacks, which is nice. On the back, you've got your L1, L2, R1, R2 triggers. I do find this one a little small in my hands, probably because it's made for a child, not for me. But the widescreen version I really like because obviously your hands are either side of the screen. You've also got your triggers on the top there as well as R2 and L2 on the back there. This widescreen one's also got a little stand as well. So apparently you can load movies on this, and while you're eating your lunch at work, you can just crank that back and watch the movies, which is pretty cool. The thing that really sets these consoles apart and kind of puts them in 2 groups is the user interface. So if we look at the R36S here, you can see we've got all of our different emulators split. We don't have one big horrible games list. we can go down and go, okay, I want to play a Nintendo game, and I can go into the menu of all the Nintendo games, and you've just got a beautiful list of all the games there. You can actually favorite a game. So in this menu here where you've got all your emulators, you see you've got a menu that says favorites, and so I've just favorited a bunch of games in here. There are a lot more games on these devices. These have a couple of thousand games, so it can be overwhelming at first, but once you've sort of favorited 10, 20 games you like, you can just go into the favorite menu. You can search for games as well, which is awesome. You can search, do a wide, broad search of all the games, or you can go into a specific emulator and search from there. Once you've found it, favorite it, and that is a very, very handy feature. I am pleasantly surprised with the overall look and feel of these consoles. They feel sturdy. I've had this purple one here for maybe 3 or 4 months now, and it gets a good hammering from the kids in the car if we're on a long road trip, and they will fight about who gets the better console. But yeah, they've given it a good hammering, and it's all the buttons still work fine, and yeah, all the controls, volume, all that good stuff. So pretty handy. Some of the music does get a bit annoying when you're driving, but like I said earlier, there are headphone jacks in here if you really wanted to, or you can just turn the music down on the side. So after spending a few months with these consoles, I think the difference is pretty clear, right? These cheaper ones, they look good on the listing. They're pretty cheap, $25. They just have too many shortcomings, I think. These are the sort of consoles that are going to end up in a drawer somewhere. The more expensive ones, better screen, better controls, better games, better UI and interface, and just better overall build quality. So if you're on the fence, my advice is to spend a little bit more money, whether this is for yourself or for a gift, and just get the more expensive ones. I have a feeling these will get played a lot more, and these cheaper ones are going to end up being put in a drawer somewhere, or maybe they look good on a shelf, and that's about it. Thank you for watching. Like I said up the top, this channel is all about retro gaming and arcade machines and all that good stuff. So if any of that interests you at all, come along on the adventure, hit that subscribe button, leave me a comment down below, tell me which one of these consoles you'd buy. Would you go cheap and cheerful, or would you spend the extra money? And if you like these sort of console reviews, let me know. I've got a bunch more that we're busy filming and some exciting stuff in the mail. Stay tuned for that, and I'll see you in the next video.